you well. It's Danielle here. Thanks for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it. Sorry it's been so long since I uploaded anything to YouTube. Just been a bit busy and tired and stuff, but yeah, you know. So if you enjoy the video, please like, comment and subscribe, or just like, comment and subscribe anyway, because I really appreciate it and it would really help me out a lot. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about Circe. I finished reading Circe by Madeline Miller. I really quite like the book. I gave it like 3.75 to 4 out of 5 stars. It was very nicely written. I did find it a bit repetitive in parts, but that was just due to the nature of Circe's like predicament in a way. Like when she was exiled, it was like a lot of people coming back and forth, her dealing with them, but her just like remaining on this island. So yeah, I find it a little bit boring in places, but it was a good book overall. It did hold my attention. It took me absolutely ages to read it. I'm a slow reader and I've got quite a like busy life, so yeah, it's not unusual for me to take a while to finish a book, but this took me like a bit longer than I had expected or would have liked, because although in some places it was quite compelling to read, it didn't really have me like gripped. I wouldn't say it was a page turner. As for whether I'd recommend it, if you really like Greek tragedy, if you're really interested in Greek tragedy, or if you've read Homer's Odyssey, you should read it, because it's like fleshing out a character which is a bit demonized. I don't know, like in Greek mythology, just the fact that she's like a woman who doesn't necessarily like bow down to the patriarchy, or a female character I should say, not a woman. I'm not a feminist, but I do believe in like the sisterhood, and I found the story like quite interesting. I love the part where she becomes like a mum. It made her like quite more relatable to me at the stage I am in my life now, rather. And I guess like more appealing as a character to me anyway. I found her quite unattractive at first, even though I can like relate to her in the respect of like her being a bit bitter. Like I used to be, before I had my child, I used to be a bit of a jealous person, a bit like feeling inadequate, but like me, she kind of like transformed when she became a mum. She like had a purpose and something outside of herself to care about, so it gave her like less of a self-pitying energy, like character. So yeah, I did really relate to the character of Circe in a lot of respects, and I without spoiling the ending, I really like cheered her on at the ending. She made such a like an amazing decision, and like a self-sacrificing decision at the end of the novel, at the end of her story, that made me really happy. It was a good ending to to the book. I hope I've like explained myself well there. But yeah, I did like it. I didn't give it like 5 stars because it was a little bit dragging in parts, but I love the writing. I quite like the character, related to the character, and I'm kind of interested in Greek mythology. I felt like I didn't quite understand everything that was going on in the plot because I hadn't read the Odyssey and I don't know too much about Greek myth, so I found some of it was a bit lost on me, but overall, yeah, it's a good book. If you love Greek tragedy, definitely read it. Greek tragedy and Greek myth. So yeah, next I was going to talk about the book that I'm reading at the moment, which is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, which is of course the follow-up, the sequel to The Hunger Games, which is a book I read about 3 or 4 years ago, so fairly recently. And it's a really popular book. There's been films made of the series. I haven't seen them, but yeah, a really important book. It's a young adult book, which I don't really read, but I did read The Hunger Games and thought it was outstanding. I love like the metaphor of it, like how people from lower classes in society are just used as entertainment for the wealthy, like their lives don't really matter, their lives are expendable. It's kind of like similar the way, well, I guess in the Hunger Games, obviously, like people from outside of the elite, are used to kind of like make a show that happens once a year, where they fight to the death the competitors who were taken from outside the capital, the different districts, and yeah, only one person can be the winner, so all the other competitors in the Hunger Games are killed, and yeah, gosh, so it's kind of like a metaphor for classism, and it's similar to what the Romans did, I guess, even though it's a fantasy, it's kind of like similar to what the Romans did with gladiators and stuff like that. So yeah, and where like poor people and the slaves were thrown to the lions, similar to like Roman entertainment shows how that kind of like mentality or like cultural practice still takes place today, not necessarily in such a brutal form, but yeah, through the lens of like a fantasy book, Suzanne Collins seems to like be commenting on our society, showing how basically the lives of poorer people are like unimportant to the powers that be. The only value is for, you know, working predominantly, and also to be used and controlled for fun, for the pleasure of the people in the elite classes. So yeah, it's a really interesting book and quite revolutionary, and the characters are really cool, and what can I say about the Hunger Games? Why did I like it? I guess it's quite like subversive for children or young people who read it. It's kind of like it would be, I imagine, if I was a kid reading it, it would be, it would have an impact on my political awareness, consciousness. But I enjoyed it as an adult because I could kind of see that it would have that effect on young people, like it would help them to understand classism and how like the people who have control of the means of production, I guess, like create like their hegemony through like a culture of violence that is then like internalized by the people in a way, like people accept their subjugation because of the violence in the culture and the practice of the Hunger Games each year. I wish I was more clear in what I'm saying. I don't think I'm particularly explaining myself very well. Again, it's quite late at night when I'm making this video and I don't really have any notes, but what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that like well, it's like the people okay, so like the culture affects the society. The economy, let me start again. So the economy in the society of the Hunger Games, and like by extension our society, because the Hunger Games culture is like a reflection of our culture, like a fantastic, exaggerated version of our culture. So the economy like dictates the culture, and then the culture affects the society. Insofar as like the characters involved in the Hunger Games like mostly like reject the culture into which they're like forced to participate in, like subversively, like secretly, but at the same time we're shown that the characters kind of like do need to kind of submit to it, and it affects their personality and the interactions with one another. I'm really not explaining myself very well. Read the book, and if you want, I would definitely recommend you to read this book if you haven't read it already. And yeah, maybe you'll see what I mean. But it's, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the book has like some kind of like Marxist element to it, I guess. Like, so far, the Catching Fire book has been really good. Like, I was worried I wouldn't like it as much as The Hunger Games, and I'm only about 80 pages in. I'm in chapter 5 at the moment, but it's really good. I think Suzanne Collins, one of the favourite things I like about the way she writes is how certain things are just very representative of like social hierarchy, and I really like the way that she writes about like elements of nature and also food. So the food plays an important part in the Hunger Games, obviously, or like unsurprisingly, it's called the Hunger Games. So yeah, there's that like connection to food, and the food that's presented in the novel or represented. It's like, it's very interesting, cool, and also like rich the way she talks about food. So there's obviously like basically the contrast between the food that people in the districts eat and the food that people in the elite world consume and like serve up for the Hunger Games victors. But it's like, just the way that the food of the normal people is described is very beautiful as well. Like, and the same with like natural elements, like elements of nature, like water, trees, also colours. Like, it's quite a sensuous book, sensory book, sensorial, like with the descriptions of food and nature and colours, and I guess there's probably quite a lot of different sounds that are evoked in the book as well. It's like a very rich book for a book which has to be like a little bit necessarily limited in terms of its complexity. It is like, because it's a children's book, it can't like go, but it's not at all patronising. It's quite a deep book, and yeah, it's a yay. I think I've rambled about it enough, but it's definitely yay. That book is it's really good. I recommend it wholeheartedly. I think it's like, I was going to say one of the best books I've ever read, but it's definitely one of the books that I've most enjoyed in my life so far. Like, I remember racing through it. I'm not really racing through Catching Fire, but my circumstances have changed. I think if I had like a day to read or something, then I would definitely wolf it back or whatever, like really gobble up this book. Okay, so I'm going to briefly talk about an audiobook I tried to listen to. I'm going to have a quick vape, I hope you don't mind. So an audiobook that I listened to, or tried to listen to, and that was DK Africa, History of Africa. I found it really boring. I'm so interested in history, I'm interested in Africa. It wasn't a bad or like uninteresting book. I haven't listened to all of it, I DNF'd it. But it was so monotone, the narration. Like, I just completely lost interest or couldn't focus on it because the narration was really bad, in my opinion. Like, when I listened to Pride and Prejudice recently, that completely made the book for me. Like, all the different accents that the author did. I think narration is so important when it comes to an audiobook, and that one really was rubbish, in my opinion. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend. Maybe I would recommend the physical copy, or like have a go at reading the physical copy. But it didn't really sit well with me anyway. It started off by talking about how, like, you know, humans evolved and stuff in Africa, which is fair enough, but well, I'm Christian, so I don't really believe that to an extent, like, and yeah, just fell a bit off. And then there was lots of discussion about all the different civilizations in Africa, which was interesting, but because it was narrated in such a dull way, it was hard to focus on, like, what was going on in the narration. So, like, they were saying, oh, this empire, and this empire, and that empire, and I couldn't focus on which empires were being discussed at the time, because it switched about too much, and there wasn't enough to, like, it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear when we were talking about separate entities, if that makes sense, like separate groups of people. Like, it all just blurred into one monotone spiel, if that's the word. Yeah, so I won't be returning to that one. I may well pick up or download on Audible another African history that, like, details the continent a bit more, because I'd love to know more about African history. Like, I find it so interesting. How people in Africa were, like, living in civilizations whilst Europeans are mostly, like, living pretty basic lives. Excuse me. Big yawn. So, yeah, as for other audiobooks, I would like some recommendations. I'm going to finish, as for my like next little TBR, I'm going to finish like a mini TBR. I'm gonna finish Crying, No Catching Fire. I'm also going to finish The Doctor of Hiroshima, which I think I've discussed on here a little bit. I've read a few more pages of that book, but not loads more. It's really good though, and I am keen to read more of it. I just haven't had much time to read or inclination either. Just been a bit, like, busy with housework and looking after my child. But yeah, it's a really good book, The Doctor of Hiroshima, and probably the next video I make will be like a review of that one, hopefully, because I'm about a third of the way through, and the main character is really impressive. of, like, he's not really a main character, he's the protagonist and the narrator of the books. It's a diary of an actual doctor who survived the 1945 bombing of Hiroshima, and like how he helped to save lives, and experienced, obviously witnessing a lot of people pass away, as well at the same time. It's about like the triumph of the human spirit, and like the desire of he comes across as very intelligent and very humane. So it's a good book. It's a really good book, and I'm interested in Japanese history as well. So yeah, I'll be reading that. I'll be reading Catching Fire, and then after that, I'm gonna read either Passing or Tomorrow by Nella Larson. Passing by Nella Larson, or Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I'm not sure which I will pick up, but I think I might read Tomorrow. I might read Passing, I'm not sure. Let me know which you think I should read, or if you'd like to read either book with me. With that being said, I think I've spoken long enough, and I'm ready to go to bed. I'm gonna read more and go to bed. I will talk to you soon, hopefully. If not in a video, I will write something on the community. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, leave a heart emoji or a book emoji, and let me know what you're reading as well. Comment once, comment twice, comment a lot of times. It'd be really helpful to me. I'm a single mum, and I'm hoping to get my YouTube channel monetized one day in the hopefully not too distant future. So any support is like completely 100,000,000% appreciated. Yeah, let me know what you're reading, what I should listen to on Audible, because I've got like 2 or 3 credits. I might watch some booktube tonight actually, and see if I can get some inspiration or what to listen to on Audible, because I love an audiobook. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Sending love.